Well, hey, welcome to GC365. I'm Pastor Alex. I've got my good friend
Matt Barker.
Matt Barker. Now, Matt, we actually both have something in common. We're better known around this place not because of us, but our wives.
Cammie's husband.
Elaine's husband. Yep.
There we go.
That's usually how
that's how we're identified.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get the yeah. No, Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself though. Besides that, you're Cammie's husband.
Cammie's husband. That's a recent add to my portfolio or my profile at Gold Creek. I've been here for about 12 years, but Cammie and I got married in 2017. Met here at church, and everything's been great since then. But I took the new title as Cammie's husband.
There you go. Yeah. And you've got a couple kids. It's a blended family, but you've got a couple kids you brought into the marriage.
I brought in 3 kids, Ethan, Johnny, and Kira. Ethan's 20, Johnny's 17, and Kira's about to turn 14.
Ooh, good times right there.
So this year, for the first time in quite a few years, all of those kids who are in school will be at the same school. So I've been spread between elementary, junior high, and high school for quite a few years. This year is the first time in a long time. Okay. We're all in high school.
Wow. Well, congrats to being in high school.
We still do have. My stepson, David, is in 7th grade, so he'll be at Valley View. Yeah. And Selah, my stepdaughter, will also be going into 9th grade at Glacier Peak. So still 2 schools, but no longer 3.
Boy, I have a busy household, but you just ramped it up a little bit for us. So that's even better. I like it.
Yes. Yeah. And the younger 3 don't drive. So
both of mine started driving just here. My 16-year-old just got his license, turned 16 in June. It is game on.
Fully licensed, out on his own.
Driving everywhere. Go,
That's
baby,
awesome.
go. We love it. Go, Dylan. Go drive. Hopefully we'll have him in here next month if we can get him not working because he wants to drive. So he wants
to drive, so he has to work.
Has to work. That's
I like that plan.
Okay, if I was to get in here, people didn't come just to hear us ramble, but they're going to hear us ramble about the Bible this time.
The Bible now.
The Bible, yes.
Yeah.
So we are in day 230.
230.
August 18th.
August
so
18th.
Had it in my mind there. So we're talking about Esther. Then we got to talk about 1 Corinthians, and then we get into our good old Psalms and Proverbs. Some great stuff in Psalms and Proverbs. In fact, Proverbs you wanted to just not even touch, but we'll get to that.
We're just going to skip it.
Yeah. In fact, we were talking about the title of this right now as we're filming, and we think we got some creative title here for it. So Queen,
for sure.
Or Quarrelsome.
Quarrelsome Wives.
Quarrelsome Wives. That's it. Yeah.
That's what we titled it.
We'll see if it sticks. So
maybe we'll cut that part.
All right, let's jump into it. Here we are. We just started the book of Esther, so here we are. Now, what did you gather out of this? Your first thoughts with Esther?
My first thought is the same thought I have most of the time when I read the Old Testament, which is, wow, they had some complicated relationships, complicated rules that just made their lives complicated all the way around. Multiple wives, concubines, generations that I don't even understand how these people are all related. It's a mess.
But they keep doing it.
They keep creating the mess for themselves.
Thank you, Jesus, that well, most people don't have those messes. There are still some that really can't keep that straight. But
some.
That usually catches up to them. So that was what you saw out of it. In fact, you're like, hey, let's just skip over this whole book.
This doesn't apply to us. We don't live this way. This doesn't apply to us anymore.
But reality was we were like, all right, let's take a look at this. Let's just see what's going on in this book. And it was interesting when we kind of paused to actually go, okay, besides reading and how confusing it is. But reality is God's at work here.
He is.
And you just wonder, I would just, love to be the fly up in heaven that gets to be there when God's making these decisions. Because my first question is, when did he decide that this was all going to take place the way it took place? Because we talked about, as we were getting ready for this, about free will.
Yeah. So he gives us free will.
Free will in this.
But he has a plan.
He has a plan, right? So we have Queen Vashti, who kind of basically told her husband to pound sand.
Yeah, pretty much. Which wasn't allowed at all then.
Right.
Yeah.
So that got her the boot.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden.
That's how they dealt with quarrelsome wives there.
So then all of a sudden, then they go and they bring in, they say they got to find him a young virgin.
Yeah, and he's already got a handful.
But yet all of a sudden this young woman, Esther, Esther is brought up, and talk about a little bit about that, about who she was and all that stuff. And we're reading it, but just how he caught that.
So he found her through her cousin Mauricio, who he knew. Mordecai. The names are complicated. You just make them up. I think I'll pronounce that this way. That's how I do the Old Testament anyway.
It works.
Not everybody does. Some really dive in and figure it out. I don't. Mordecai, friends with the king. How's he related? How were they related?
Mordecai he was just a kind of a trusted advisor in this.
Yeah, trusted
scenario.
advisor.
And
has a niece, cousin,
and her parents had been.
Parents were, or she was an orphan. So,
So even right there, let's just think about that. So here Esther is a young girl. We don't know when, but she lost her parents. And so that must have just been, I mean, just if you just take present day, I don't care, Old Testament, thousands of years ago or today, but if we lose our parents, or lose a loved one, lose a friend, someone gets diagnosed with a terminal illness, you all of a sudden, it literally freezes you in your tracks.
It does. So
here this young lady loses her family. Her cousin adopts her. And then somehow God has the hand she has favor the entire way with all the king's peoples.
All the way. Everybody likes her.
And she gets herself up. And all this because, what was the guy's name? Haman. And he had a plot to kill the Jews and Mordecai because they weren't following what rules he wanted followed. And so it's just fascinating to me, though, how that all fell into place and how God, all because the queen wouldn't listen. And
wouldn't listen.
They want to go to her husband, but all this gets glorified because God saves his people through the queen going down, and then through Esther losing her parents, Mordecai adopting her, raising her, and then even then, I mean, when Haman's plot to kill Mordecai, the feast,
and the skewer,
the skewer, 75-foot pole, was it 75 feet?
75 foot, yeah.
Yeah, that he was gonna he went to dinner hey, go ahead and put that pole because in the morning we're gonna go.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and
Mordecai
get rid of
on that.
Yeah, we're gonna get rid of Mordecai.
Yeah, he ends up on that with his court of people.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing: is what has gone wrong in our lives? What are some of the things that we've had, and is God at a part? Is he a part of that? Is he allowing this? I mean, these are big, deep questions.
And we're going through it. We're like, God, what are you doing to me?
Right.
Which we see in this scripture as well. God, they're asking, what are you doing to me? For me personally, I mentioned Cammie and I've been together for 3 years, met here at church, and I have 3 kids. Obviously, I went through a divorce before that, and through all of the things that happen in divorce, it's never pleasant, and we all have our different stories. But so many times it's, God, what are you doing to me? And we don't know what his plan is. We don't know, but we know now after we see his plan, my life is great. I don't ask those questions in a relationship now. And, God, what are you doing to me? I now see, get to say thank you for those things. New challenges, of course, come with raising a blended family of 5 different kids in their teens. And we ask, God, what are you doing to me? But for whole different reasons.
Well, and I think no matter where you are, we've had it, or even this last year, there's been these challenges of all right, God, why? What are we? And I ask the question to myself, just all right, what is God trying to teach me through this? What is God trying to prepare me through? What is God trying to prepare our family through as just this whole COVID country thing that we've been walking through for the last 18, 24 months? It seems like 24 months, but it's been about 18 months now. And just, I think it points back to it that God has been and is always at work.
Always at work.
Yeah.
And we ask that about the church too. What so much the church came under, and just you who are watching us here online today know that this is a new way that we can connect that we didn't have before.
Right.
So his hand was in it. That piece.
It's added a lot. So, all right, let's jump into, in fact, in the church of conflict, we're going to jump down into 1 Corinthians real quick. And here we have Paul kind of coming in. Now, we had the great pleasure to not have to talk about yesterday's readings, which was about women in leadership.
Women in leadership.
So we're going to let that one go. Instead, we get to talk about the law of observing the Last Supper.
Yes.
And there are some quarrelsome people going on here as we hear from Paul about, it sounds like there was some too much eating and drinking going on in the church, accusing of why are you not eating and drinking at home? But then when you really read deep, there's actually some different classes of people. Sounds like the church had some really wealthy people and some poor people, and the poor people were not being fed properly. And Paul is just calling them out on this, and as well as saying, hey, you need to be observing the Last Supper in the right way, and here's how you should be doing it.
Quotes Jesus again and talks about the Last Supper. And and how we're supposed to come together to break bread and remember the body and the blood that was given for us. And there was a lot that people were doing that were improper about that, and they were not letting it looks like really they weren't letting everybody do that.
Right. And this is, the power of this new covenant. That's what communion is the new covenant between God and his people, and to replace the old covenant of the Old Testament. And the power of that is, that's why Paul was just so adamant about this, trying to protect the sanctity of it, because it is meaningful. All right, let's jump down. Psalms, go for it. Oh, what did it say there? Oh Lord, you know all about this.
Lord, you know all about this. You know, the scripture goes on. I don't want to misquote it here. It goes on to say.
There you go. You screenshot it. There we go.
Don't say silent. Don't abandon me here, Lord. And immediately when I read that, I reflect. He's never abandoning us. We're the ones who abandon him. If there's any abandonment going on, we have to turn back to him and say, hey, guide me through this. You gave me. We read in earlier in this chapter. You gave me the tools to deal with this, or you surrounded me with the people who have the tools. Yeah. He talks about all the different gifts, that everybody has different spiritual gifts, and we're not being abandoned. We're never being abandoned. It's all about this, Lord. Help me through it is how we should be asking these questions. We don't know everything. He does, and just.
Well, it points right back to the Old Testament. Yeah. The Old Testament, the New. It all relates back to this. These words are spot on from what we saw in Esther, but then to today, of what the Lord is. He's with us. He's walking through this. So, powerful words there. Proverbs. This is the one you really wanted to go really thick into.
Yeah,
so
we wanted to get deep in
I'm going
this.
to let you just go for it. Go ahead.
Sure.
Cammie, listen up. I'm kidding.
By now, you've all read this. You know that it's better to live alone in a desert than with a quarrelsome, complaining wife.
Now, I think we both can stop here. We're laughing a lot here. My wife, Elaine, is amazing, and I'm blessed that we really don't have quarrels. It's just not something we do. We talk things through pretty well, but and I know not everybody has that ability to have that, but so I'm laughing about that.
Yeah, and I think in the last 3 years now, Cammie and I have been married 3.5. I think our biggest fight was in this last few weeks over the heat in the house, which really not a lot any of us do about it, and whether or not we run the fans when we're home or not. I think that might have been the biggest
first
not even a fight,
problems.
Disagreement. Yeah, certainly first world problem.
Okay, so better to live alone in the desert, and then the wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. Those are just wise words.
Very wise words.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty good. Hopefully you're sticking up with us here. And in the summertime, if you are trying to read the whole 1 year Bible this year, I know personal experience. The summer is the hardest time. You get out of your rhythm, or I get out of my rhythm. Vacations.
Nothing
getaways.
is routine. There is no rhythm.
But get into it. Stick into it when you're driving. Right, plug in your headphones and listen to it. And if you're watching on Facebook or ability to comment on this. Comment, get plugged in with others that are watching this. Share what you enjoy reading. Do screenshots, Matt. What do you got there? You got a screenshot, circle the stuff.
Yeah, I got a screenshot, circles.
Send that
stuff.
to a friend that needs it.
So. Send it out. Post in our comments. What are you doing to stay on routine or staying caught up? When do you find time?
And
in your
where
day?
do they find you, Matt? How do they get a hold of you? What's your social handles?
I'm just on Facebook. I don't have Instagram or any of those other things.
I'm not on any of them, but all right. Well, we've rambled long enough. Thanks for coming in. See you guys tomorrow. Hopefully you can join us for our Thursday devotional. Have a good day.
Thank you.